How would you like it if I shared a tip with you that will help you get more clients using Gmail? Or, if you use Outlook, this also works for you there. And a lot of other email service providers, if you're sending out emails to clients, to prospects, to potential clients, this can help you get more of those potential clients. How'd you like that? That sound good? Can I share that with you today? I hope you're nodding your head. Yes. So this came out of the 100+ email conversations that I started last week with subscribers, and it was a recommendation that I had. It's a little trick that I use, and it works really, really well. It works really well to turn more prospects and more conversations into clients. I only had a very limited amount of time to explain this in the email, so I decided I wanted to share it in an episode instead, where I can spend a little bit more time explaining how it works. So let's dive in. These are the proven direct response marketing, copywriting, and entrepreneurship success strategies you can use today to write your own ticket and create the life you want. I am Roy Furr, and this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Now, here's today's breakthrough. All right, so today's episode, as usual, is sponsored by me. I want you to check out the free mini course, Launch Your Client Business. The link is in the description. If you need clients, it shows you how to get them. It is focused, from the branding through the messaging to launching your client business. It also works if you want to relaunch your client business. If you just want to relay the foundation of a successful client business to build on, it works for anyone needing clients, and it does spend some time talking about how to get clients. And so all of that is super relevant if you're interested in getting more clients via Gmail, which is why it makes sense as the first link in the description for you to go check out now. Okay, so let's dive in. I have to lay the foundation for this first. We'll get to the whole Gmail trick in just a minute, but I have to lay the foundation with this stupid simple way. A stupid simple way to close more sales. And like I said, we'll get to that snooze thing in a minute. And honestly, this is the more valuable lesson. And let me explain it to you. So this started when I was selling IT training, and one of the particular products that we sold was this high-end training solution for entire IT departments. It was a $30,000 server that they bought and put on their company's network, and that people would access our training off of. And so in order for the company or organization to buy it, there was a $30,000 purchase order that would have to get printed off on our fax machine usually. And every time that fax machine rang, the people in the sales department would go over and they would watch that purchase order get printed off. And so many times what happened once I moved from marketing into sales in that job so I could get a commission was they would pull that off and they'd be like, "Oh, it's awesome. We got another server sale. Roy, why are they always yours?" And why were they always mine? It's because of what I'm going to talk to you about in just a second here. So what I would do is initially I would, start a conversation with these prospects. And sometimes it would be from inbound marketing, meaning they found us. I set up a mechanism on the website where they could book a training consultation. So I would do a training consultation with them. We would discuss the training options for their department, et cetera. And then I would put them in my follow-up system. Other times it would be we would meet at a trade show and I would have a conversation with them there, and then I'd put them in the follow-up system. Other times it would be, other types of proactive marketing or inbound marketing. Sometimes it would start as a phone call, whatever it was. They ended up in my system. And what would happen is there would be the initial conversation that I would have with them, and then I'd send another email in a day. I would say, "Did you have any other questions come up after our last conversation? I'm here to help." Something like that. And then if I hadn't heard from them in a couple days, "Hey, it's been a couple days. Were you still interested in moving forward?" And I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head, but that's how simple these emails were. Maybe the next week I would say, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. What can I do for you to help you move this forward? Or is it something you're still interested in?" Another week down the road, send them another email. Another week down the road, send them another email. And it was always polite. It was always aiming to help them move through the decision-making process. In some cases it was, I know you were sending this off to your purchasing department. Did they have any questions that they came back to you with? Something relevant to the conversation. But the point was, until I got a no, I assumed that there was still a purchase that was going to come through. And so I would continue reaching out to them in order to help them make the purchasing decision and go through the purchasing process. In a lot of cases, when it's like a $30,000 purchase like this, there is a purchasing process involved. There's a purchasing department. There's all that stuff. And so I would just reach out to them and keep the conversation alive, at least from my side, until they told me, you know what, we went with someone else, we went with a different option, we're no longer interested, we've decided that this doesn't fit our goals, whatever, right? If it wasn't a no, I would keep reaching out. And I would push them. Like, I would tell them, I'll be happy to hear a no if it means you're giving me an answer. And then whenever there was another response from them, so let's say, I had the conversation with them, I emailed them the next day, I emailed them a couple days later, I emailed them a week out from that, I emailed them, another week later, and then they reply. So suddenly the conversation goes from passive on their side, meaning they're receiving my communications, to active, meaning they're communicating back to me. Well, I immediately switched from, I was emailing weekly at that point, back to, well, I'll email the next day. First, maybe one day I'll answer the question, and then the next day I'll say, did that answer your question? Did you have any other questions related to this? Something like that, right? I would just be reaching out to them consistently, and I would reach out to them more frequently when I had just heard from them, and then more infrequently when it's been a while since I've heard from them, right? The whole secret to this is just persistent, polite follow-up. And I had like 28 emails or more in sequence that I had sent to individual prospects by the time I left that job. And the reason that I would keep doing that is, somebody would be 28 emails in and I hadn't heard from them in 23 emails, but then a purchase order shows up. And boom, that's another $30,000 along with my sales commission for that. And so this persistent, polite feedback that it takes just a couple seconds to send each of these emails. This follow-up, it's so simple. I'm just trying to encourage a conversation. Sometimes I would do things like, hey, we just released this new certification pack, and I don't know, I think you said your equipment is primarily Cisco. Were you interested in this particular training? Something like that. I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm trying to initiate conversations there. And it worked. It worked consistently. And I kept sending so many emails because at some point they made $30,000 show up. And here's how I used to do this. And honestly, it's still relevant, especially if you're running a sales department, to do it this way versus what I'm going to tell you in Gmail. But I used to do this with CRM software. We were using Salesforce.com pretty early on. This was, more than 10 years ago, but it's an effective CRM software. There are other effective CRM softwares. The thing about CRM is that it keeps all the data available to an entire team, right? So it's especially good if you have teams, and it can also keep big deals from falling through the cracks. But in a lot of cases, especially for like solopreneurs, freelancers, maybe the CRM is less relevant to you. Maybe you're managing most of your business out of your email inbox because honestly, like a lot of us are. And that's all that we need for many of us, that as long as we're in communication with people, we can manage it out of our inbox. But here's the thing, the moment you archive an email or delete an email or whatever, it falls through the cracks, it disappears. The moment, it slips down below the fold in your Gmail inbox, it's a few days old, it disappears and you lose track of the deal. And so if it's just sitting out there as like, it's still in my inbox, but it's like, it's kind of buried in my inbox, you may lose the deal just because you haven't consistently followed up with that person. Versus if you are more consistent and persistent in following up with that person, obviously in a polite and kind way, you may get the deal. Which brings me all the way around to the promise of this episode, which is how I've hacked email follow-up with Gmail's Snooze functionality. Now, the purpose of this episode is not to tell you the tactical, here's how you actually use Snooze. Like, you can look up Google articles on here's how Snooze works in your inbox. But the basic premise of Snooze in Gmail, in Outlook, in other email service providers is that you can take an email and remove it from visibility from your inbox until a specific date and time that you set. You're snoozing it, just like the snooze button on your alarm clock. You say, snooze this until next Monday morning at 5 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. or something, right? You're snoozing a message, you're making it disappear, and then it pops back at the top of your inbox as if it were a brand new message at the time that you dictated. Of course, those emails don't disappear completely. And in Gmail, there's like a little snoozed folder basically that's created, so you can go back in and you can see all of those. But the point is that they are snoozed and they appear back in your inbox when you tell them to. So if you are having conversations with prospects, prospective clients, real clients, etc., right? And you want to follow up with that person, let's say you have a conversation with them today, you send them a message, okay? Then you go to that sent message and you click snooze. And it'll give you options for when you want to snooze it until, and you could use a custom one, or you can use, it has some default options like tomorrow, later this week, this weekend, next week, right? Like there's default options in there. But the point is that you snooze it until the time that you decide. And then if they reply before that snooze, it's going to come back into the inbox. It's not like it's going to keep their reply out of your inbox for 2 weeks, right? But if you decide, I don't want to follow up with this person for 2 weeks, then it's going to stay out of your inbox. But if they reply, it's going to, appear back like it would as if it were a normal reply. And if they don't reply, then it comes back at that next relevant time that you dictated. And so what you can do is you implement this whole ongoing follow-up strategy, like I recommended earlier in this episode, where your goal is to just stay present in your prospect's life, being there as someone who is willing to provide service, provide help, provide value. You stay present in their life through, consistent, persistent, polite follow-up emails. But you're doing it, you're managing it using Gmail Send. I'll even do this, for example, when I sell a copy review service. Usually after that copy review, I send out a message to them right afterwards, but then I want to check in with them in a couple weeks or in a couple months or after they say they're going to launch the copy or whatever, right? Well, I will snooze the conversation from the copy review and boom, it pops back up and then I can check in with them. And that's how I get, for example, testimonials for my copy review service is, hey, you said you might be interested in giving a testimonial. How is it doing so that we can maybe have something to discuss on that testimonial call, etc. Right? It's fast, it's easy, and it's free. Like there's no additional charge to using the snooze functionality in Gmail versus just regularly using Gmail. You're not paying for some additional CRM system or anything like that. And it can be a highly, highly effective way to get more clients. So that's my recommendation for you. Think about how you can use it. It is super powerful, super useful. If you're not using it, I think that you will fall in love with it as soon as you try it. And you will fall in love with my Launch Your Client Business free mini course as soon as you go through it, which means you need to check the link in the description. Check that out, and you'll learn more about how to effectively get clients through email and through other prospecting techniques and how to launch and build your client business. I'm Roy Furr. This is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Every day, every episode, I'm here delivering breakthroughs that are going to help you be more successful as a copywriter, marketer, and entrepreneur. And I will catch you again in the next episode. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.